Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to break down the, let's be honest, pretty controversial financial worldview of Robert Kiyosaki. You probably know him as the author of that mega bestseller, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All right, so let's just jump right in. At the heart of everything Kiyosaki talks about is this huge conflict, right? It's the battle between your report card and your financial statement. He's basically saying, hey, society tells you that a diploma makes you smart, but your banker, they don't care about that. They want to see the numbers. And really, his entire philosophy, everything he preaches, it all comes back to this one simple but really powerful story from when he was a kid. It's this tale of two dads, two father figures who had totally opposite views on money, work, and, what it means to be rich. Okay, so this is it. This slide lays out the whole battleground. On one side, you've got his real dad, who he calls Poor Dad. Super educated guy, a PhD, high up in the teachers' union, basically the poster child for the traditional get a good job path. Then on the other side, you have his best friend's dad, Rich Dad. This guy never even finished school, but he was an entrepreneur, a capitalist. And this clash, this is the engine that drives every single thing Kiyosaki teaches. So let's dig into that, right? We'll start with the first path, what he calls the poor dad mindset. And his whole argument is that this is the script that our schools, our parents, our whole society basically hands us from day one. I mean, does this sound familiar? It should. Go to school, get a safe job, save your money, buy a house. It's the advice we all get, right? But here's Kiyosaki's big critique. He says this isn't a recipe for getting wealthy. Nope. It's a recipe for being a fantastic employee. Someone who works in the system, not someone who owns the system. And this is the punchline for him. He basically sees this whole path as a trap. It's like you're stuck on a financial treadmill. You run faster and faster, you work harder, but you don't actually go anywhere. Why? Because the government takes a huge chunk in taxes, and whatever you manage to save is just getting eaten alive by inflation. He says it's a rigged game if you play by those rules. Okay, so if that's the trap, what's the way out? Well, now we get to the rich dad philosophy, and it pretty much takes everything we just talked about and throws it right out the window. It's about completely rewriting the rules. And you can see it right here. It's a total 180. Instead of working for money, the rich have their money work for them. Instead of avoiding debt, they use debt as a tool. And instead of just grumbling about taxes, they learn the tax laws inside and out so they can legally pay almost nothing. It's a completely different playbook. Now, this is a really provocative quote he brings up a lot. And for Kiyosaki, this isn't really a political statement. He's making a point about financial education. The way he sees it, the tax system is set up with rules. And if you know those rules, you get rewarded. He argues that it's not about cheating. It's about being smart enough to play the game the way it's designed for capitalists and investors. So to really get your head around all this, you have to understand his definitions of two simple words, assets and liabilities. And forget what your accounting textbook told you. For Kiyosaki, it all boils down to one simple question. Which way is the money flowing? Okay, his golden rule is this. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. Simple, right? It doesn't matter if you're working or not. So think about a rental property that pays you every month, or stocks that pay you dividends. It's basically a little money machine that you own. And on the flip side, a liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket, period. It doesn't matter if it's a fancy car or a big house. If you have to keep feeding it money every single month, then in his world, it's a liability. Okay, and this is where people's heads start to explode, because if you use that simple rule, guess what? Your home, your primary residence, is a liability. Why? Because the mortgage, the taxes, the repairs, they all take money out of your pocket. And get this, he even says your 401k is a liability. His logic? You're the one putting money in every paycheck. You're not getting cash flow from it. And this same crazy logic applies to debt. Most of us are taught that debt is bad. Get out of debt. Poor dad thinking. But rich dad, he sees debt as one of the most powerful tools you can have. He loves to tell the story of how he used other people's money, basically bank loans, to buy assets that then made him money. But it's not just about the numbers, right? For Kiyosaki, building real wealth goes way beyond a spreadsheet. It's about having a certain kind of mindset, an emotional toughness that, frankly, our school system just doesn't prepare us for. He's always pointing to these huge macroeconomic things happening, like the government just printing literally trillions of dollars out of thin air. And that's why he says savers are losers. Because if you're just hoarding cash in a savings account, the value of that cash is going down every single day. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom. And to really succeed, he says you need more than just book smarts. He actually talks about these 4 different kinds of intelligence. You've got your mental intelligence, knowing the what, then physical intelligence, which is the how, actually going out and doing it. But he says the 2 most important are emotional intelligence, can you handle the pressure when the market crashes, and spiritual intelligence, which is your why, what's your bigger mission here? And this really brings it all back home, doesn't it? It goes right back to his big problem with the school system. School punishes you for making mistakes. You get an F. But in the real world, in business and investing, mistakes are how you learn. A baby can't learn to walk without falling down. And he argues that it's that fear of failing, that fear of making a mistake, that keeps most people on the sidelines their whole lives. So let's just leave you with this one question to think about. It's a challenge, really. Think about your own life. After hearing his definitions, is your primary home an asset or is it a liability? Is it putting money in your pocket or taking it out? Because, according to Robert Kiyosaki, your answer to that simple question reveals everything about which dad's path you're really on.